Hey friend, this is episode number 533 of the ANSO podcast with Taylor Bradford. Let's get to it. Boss Girl Creative presents ANSO with Taylor Bradford, business and life musings from a successful serial entrepreneur. Each week, you will hear Taylor spill the tea on all things business, life, relationships, health, and everything in between. But don't worry, each week also includes a business nugget that will help you stay on course. And now a throwback to 3-year-old Taylor who inspired all of this.
ANSO.
Well, I finally broke up with MailChimp. After nearly a decade getting spammed without any active forms, that was my last straw. I moved everything over to Flowdesk, and it's been such a breath of fresh air. And it's female-founded, and I'm genuinely excited about my email again. And if you have been feeling stuck or frustrated with your own platform, my affiliate link will get you 50% off your first full year. Use bossgirlcreative.com/Flowdesk. You also get a 14-day free trial to test out all of the fun features that Flowdesk has to offer. Yep, I got rid of MailChimp. Hello, friend. Welcome to this episode. I'm your host, Taylor Bradford. Thank you so much for being here. Let's start with the garden. I'm going to go through these quick updates about things that have been going on in my world, and I'm going to start with the garden, which is also going to segue into this week's business nugget, which is all about analysis paralysis, which I have spoken about in the past on the podcast, but it's been a hot minute that I've actually experienced it myself, and I'm there. So that's what we're talking about today. So I spent an hour in my garden yesterday. I didn't get out there until about 7:45-ish, and there's only so much light this time of year, and I wish, actually the goal was to leave the shop at 6 to get out there, but I didn't get a chance to leave until about 7:30, and so I did not get to spend as much time as I wanted, so I'm hoping I can fix that today because I have so much to do. But I was able to harvest some peppers, some bell peppers, and some jalapenos. I pulled out 2 of my banana pepper plants. I think I have a third one that I have to pull out. I don't know what happened to them while I was gone, but I got to pull the others out. I did some weeding kind of around the perimeter, and I did harvest a couple of watermelons, and I started pulling out my dahlias that are dead, and some corn that really got destroyed while I was gone. There's just a lot to do, but I started yesterday, which is a big improvement because I legitimately have not walked a foot into my garden since coming back and walking through it right after vacation. It's just been too hot, and I've got so much going on that I'm overwhelmed with the garden. And so I'm just making it be out of sight, out of mind. Like, I'll deal with it when I can deal with it, which is not good. But, a podcast topic for today. Our house, our update on our house. I think they're starting on the middle in the next week or two. We've been delayed because of some equipment that had to get repaired. And then I believe while we were gone, he picked up a job because he realized, hey, probably shouldn't start erecting their building while they're gone, which is a good decision to make. We got our power poles set. I don't remember if I said that last week, but they still have to come back in and trench to run the underground part of our line to our box. So that is that part of the house update. Really disappointed with Lowe's right now. I feel like they overpromised and underdelivered. They really, out of the gate, wanted to quote my windows and exterior doors. So they did, but then I realized there were some mistakes. And so I fixed those mistakes, and they had to quote it again. And when they quoted initially, I guess Pella, the manufacturer that I'm getting a quote for, had some incentives or something for Lowe's, and those incentives went away when they requoted. But what's weird is my first quote was still valid, and I didn't understand why they couldn't hold pricing. And they explained they couldn't go in and edit a quote, which makes 0 sense, but that's what they said. And so my 4 exterior doors went up $8,000, which had nothing to do with Pella, but had something to do with, I think it was Geldwin is who they quoted the doors through. So something changed with Geldwin, which was weird. And then Pella's window quote went drastically up. And so that's where we are. And they wanted to quote my lumber package, but basically came back and said, we can't even come close to the package you already have quoted, so we're not going to try. And I'm like, I mean, you wanted the business. You were like, we would love to, have your business, and we're going to do all of these things to get it. And then they didn't. Like, lots of promises that they didn't follow through on. So very disappointed in Lowe's. I will be going to talk to Home Depot. We've got another building supplier locally as well I'm going to go talk to. But wow, Lowe's, you really sucked it up. I'm telling you, hopefully Home Depot won't do that. I don't believe Home Depot sells Pella windows. I do have a direct manufacturer quote, so I believe that is the direction we will be going for our windows. But yeah, like Home Depot, I can still go to them for my doors, internal doors, or interior doors, and then my exterior doors. Really, the big thing right now is just getting the exterior doors, because we need to be able to make my building like fully rainproof, right? Once it's up, which is the purpose of getting the windows and the doors figured out for the exterior. So yeah, disappointed in Lowe's for sure. Okay, let's talk about some social media really quick. So I have been working on content for Boss Girl Creative. I am really enjoying the reels I've been creating, promoting the Clarity Catch-Up, which is my new freebie for like signing up for my email list. It is a fun like mini workbook that helps you like just get through whatever is holding you back and help you find some clarity. And you can get it through bossgirlcreative.com/clarity. That will help you like when you're just in the thick of it and you need something really quickly. Check that out. It's called the Clarity Catch-Up. So it's a real-time reflection workbook for creatives who feel behind and want to find their way forward without burning out. So check that out. It's free. bossgirlcreative.com/clarity to grab that. So I've really been loving creating those reels, and I just got my Clarity Code reflection deck in the mail. So this is my upsell from the workbook, the Clarity Catch-Up, and I have it as a digital PDF that you can purchase. And then you can send it to your local printer, print it on nice cardstock, and like cut them out, or have your printing company cut them out. And then you have your own reflection deck in hand. And then you also get access to the reflection deck through my website, where you can go and like click on a card and it will draw it for you. It is so fun, but I wanted to be able to have a tangible deck, like an actual tangible card deck in my hand. And I received it last week. It was such a fun thing to open. And now I feel like I want to sell my Clarity deck to you. And so we shall see how the Clarity Code works out. And I will see how, like, if there's a response to actually having this actual tangible deck that you can have. I created it based on like reflection deck sizing, like manifestation card sizing. But I have a manifestation deck or an affirmation deck that sits in my spare bedroom. And I realized the sizing of both of those decks, I actually have 2 decks. One of them is a little smaller, a little bigger than actual playing cards, but smaller than what I printed. And then the other one is bigger than I printed. So I think I actually like the smaller version, but I've printed it already. I've already formatted it to print to the size that I have in hand. And it's so cute. It's so cute. And yeah, so I'm really hoping people love the Clarity deck. It's called the Clarity Code, but it's a reflection deck. And it's for creatives in motion. When you just feel like, dang, I got to get over this hurdle, draw a card. Like, that's what it's for. So I hope you'll check that out. You can get it through the upsell, not the deck itself. Like, you'll still need to just send it to a printer or use the digital version online and draw a card. But it's aimed for you to keep moving forward. And that is the whole purpose. So I've been really loving creating content around the workbook itself. And now that I have the deck in hand, I look forward to creating that. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. I love it. It's got me like on fire for this podcast and who I want to help and who I want to aim to help, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's amazing. But all that to say, I'm still so overwhelmed by my garden. And it's got, me within this like analysis paralysis. And then add on top of that, we just had to kick out another tenant at our car lot. And they left it such a mess. Like 20 something cars, motors all over the place, car parts strewed everywhere. I do not think, actually I know they did not have trash service, which in my town, you have to have commercial trash service. Like the city won't come and get a commercial property's trash. So you have to have a dumpster. They did not have a dumpster. So they just had all of their trash, I guess, from the last 2 years piled up. And they did not have water on. And so I'm really curious to know how long they didn't have water because they just pissed in bottles and left their bottles all over the place. And even told one of our friends' dads that we did not give them a bathroom. Like my car lot did not have a bathroom. What? Oh my gosh. It used to be a gas station. Yes, there is a bathroom. I actually renovated it. Oh my gosh. People are just so crazy. Like, I don't even know. So we spent all freaking weekend. Is that a song? All freaking weekend cleaning it up. We coordinated with a salvage yard in town to actually come get all of the cars and hold them for storage, which I have to write a certified letter saying, hey, here's where your vehicles went. If you want to collect them, you owe them storage and transportation fees to get them back. And I took pictures of all of them and their VIN tags, although a couple of the cars didn't have VIN tags, if that tells you anything about these humans. So we're going through all of that, very stressed about that, getting it cleaned back up. And then also we're trying to release it or sell it. And now we have a problem with, will the city allow the next owner to maintain it as a car lot or a mechanic shop? Like, are people buying it to be able to do that? So now I have to get my attorney involved because I went to city council a couple years ago when they said they're going to be rezoning like the main thoroughfares and got told that I should just make a taco stand out of my car lot property because they were not going to allow me to hold the status of car lot mechanic shop if I ever sold or if I didn't have a new tenant in within a 6-month period. So that sucks. And I am also bound by FEMA regulations because my property was pulled into the FEMA flood map in the floodway, which is worse than the floodplain. So literally I cannot change anything to my property. I can't add on. I can't renovate other than paint. I literally can't turn it into something else. Like, it will forever be this because of FEMA's designation. So I went and said my piece to the city council and they laughed at me and told me I needed to be a taco stand. Which is funny because I can't put a grease trap in. Like, there's a sand trap, but it's not a grease trap, which is a different thing. So, yeah. So fun for that. And then we're really like in a very sad place with Chad's mom. I do feel like she has made a turn that hospice was anticipating was about to happen. It has happened. She's no longer taking medication, eating, or drinking. And if it weren't for Chad's nephew, he made a comment to me last night. If it weren't for his nephew, we would not be in Cleburne. And that just breaks my heart. And I said, well, what's driving that? Like, what's the motivating factor there? And this is just a very sad town to be in, knowing this is where he was raised. So, oh man, we got some hard coming. We're in anticipatory hard right now, but we've got some hard coming, and not looking forward to that. Let's bring the tone back up to some lightness. I finished The Bullet That Missed, which is Thursday Murder Club book number 3 by Richard Osman. It was so good. I listened to these on audio, and I appreciate the narration. I just learned he is turning this into a series, and I don't know if it's like movie version or like episode driven, but it has got Pierce Brosnan in it. It has Helen Mirren in it. Like, I am just so looking forward to seeing book 1 play out on screen. And it just brought me so much joy when I was discovering that last night. Wow. Really looking forward to that. I think it's going to be such a good series or movie or however they're going to do it. I'm so looking forward to that because I've really thoroughly enjoyed this particular book series. It reminds me about Only Murders in the Building. Like, oh, I'm just loving all of this content. I also recently signed up for a 6-week refresher through Like to Know It or whatever it's called now. It used to be reward style. And really just looking forward to figuring out a really solid affiliate strategy for the House of Sugar Creek and everything that I'm doing with my garden. I did receive my very first freebie in the mail yesterday, a beautiful hummingbird feeder. The company who sells on Amazon reached out to me and was like, hey, we'd like to send you this. And I'm like, that's great. Are you going to pay me? And they were like, no. And I was like, okay. Caveat, you're welcome to send it to me, but there's no guarantees that I'm going to write about it or talk about it or show it on my social media. And, but so if you're okay with that, feel free to send it to me. And they did. They sent it to me. It is really beautiful. I don't know if I will make like actual content for it because it is such a small brand and I really want to be paid for content. But I feel like the freebie floodgates have just reopened, which is so fun. So that's my first freebie in a really long time for the blog. So that was fun. Okay, farm stand, final topic update, and then we're going to get into search bar confessions and then the nugget of analysis paralysis. I am going to move forward with cookies with the farm stand. So I am doing recipe testing. I tried out a copycat recipe of crumbles cookie, specifically the chocolate chip cookie. Not a fan of the dough. Love the size of the cookie that it came out to be. So it was like a half of a cup of cookie dough. You roll it into a ball, you pull it apart, creating 2 halves, and then randomly you smush the 2 halves together. I do not know what that purpose is, but it made a gigantic cookie. I love the size of the cookie that it made. Not a fan of the dough. So I'm going to go back to the drawing board and find another cookie recipe specifically for chocolate chip. I may try a brown butter version next, although that is another step because now you have to brown your butter. So we'll see. But I'm on the hunt for the perfect chocolate chip cookie. And then I want to do taste tests with people to see if they like the chocolate chip cookie because I can't be the only person that thinks it's an amazing chocolate chip cookie, right? And so that's where we are. I do want to add baked goods. I have to get my food handler certification through the state. And then I'm waiting on September 1st. First of all, we are literally just a few days away from my favorite time of year, the BER months. And I believe September 1st, the new cottage laws come out for Texas, and I will be taking the cottage industry or cottage law course through Texas A&M, the AgriLife extension, just so that I am completely in the know with all the things I have to know if I'm going to sell cookies. And then I really do also want to try scones, but we're going to start with cookies. And yeah, I just want to be able to offer some things year round that are not like leaning on my farm and like my produce and where we are in the season of what I might be harvesting. So that is that. Let's get into search bar confessions. So I would really like in our main living space from the kitchen to the dining room, but like before the dining room, it's all open. And I would love to have a banquette. I have had a banquette on my Pinterest board for years, and I would love to see if I can incorporate this into my island, but before we get to the dining room section. And I think the only way I'm going to know that I'm going to be able to do this is once the walls are up and I can get a physical like feeling of the space. But I so want a banquette, and specifically a channel tufted banquette that's in velvet. And yeah, so I'm really hoping that I can make that come to fruition. I need to talk to my cabinet maker because he can build me the box, and then I can just upholster it or create it and then find somebody to upholster it. So I Googled DIY channel tufted banquette. I also, this is so random and out in left field, but something with perimenopause. So I'm in perimenopause, and something with perimenopause that I've discovered is, and I guess it has to do with, it has to do with hormones, but perimenopause body odor is a thing. And so I read up all about it. So that's a fun thing to experience as a perimenopausal female. So I did some Googling on that. I also did Googling on 4-H in my county because I'd like to get some things in place for the next time I go on vacation. I would love to be able to work with some 4-H students. And so I really wanted to get a feel for how active is 4-H in my county, and how do I go out and seek people that are a part of 4-H, and kind of what does that look like? I am willing to pay a 4-H'er, but also willing to give credit to a 4-H'er. I also want to explore getting my Master Garden distinguishment. And so I definitely need to check with my county on when the next class is to become a Master Gardener, and like what all that looks like, because I need to find somebody that can help me in my garden while I'm gone, and to not let it go to pot. I mean, basically that's what's causing my analysis paralysis. I also checked in on the White Collar reboot. I would really love to see that get rebooted. Very disappointed in Suits LA, just saying. And then I've noticed a lot of bumblebees have been dying in my garden. And so I needed to find out, is it me or is it their natural life cycle? So I Googled, how long do they live? How long do bumblebees live? And shockingly, the worker bumblebees, which are mainly males, they only live 4 weeks, 30 days if they're lucky. And that was heartbreaking to read. So I Googled how long do bumblebees live and learned all about bumblebees. So that is this week's Search Bar Confessions. Let's talk about the nugget. Let's get into this week's business nugget, which is analysis paralysis, which here's the definition for you in case you're curious. It's the inability to make a decision due to an excessive amount of information or options, leading to overthinking and inaction. And that's me right now with my garden. and I just have to say, here's where I'm at. Well, besides analysis paralysis, here's where I'm at. So I came home from vacation, and I truly walked into sadness when I walked into my garden. This space that I love so much, that gives me so much grounding and provides me a lot of joy, it looked nothing like what I left it. And I realized that my expectations of what it would look like when I came back were unrealistic. But I also had a neighbor who was supposed to keep an eye on things, and it's just a lot for a single human, and my expectations of how I want my garden to be don't always align with how others have their gardens and all of that. And so now I've got an overgrown, unruly mess, and it's just like a giant project sitting there mocking me. And the truth is I have frozen in place. I have analysis paralysis because I just don't know where to start. It's that overwhelming. And, the moment standing at the edge of my garden and feeling that analysis paralysis, where you can see the whole picture, the weeds, the wilted plants, the dead blooms that need cutting back or just pulled out. And instead of just grabbing my gardening gloves and doing one thing to get started, my brain just spun out with the weight of it all. And suddenly it's not about my garden anymore. Not simply, anyways. It's about everything else on my plate. And it just feels too big and too much. But that's the business parallel in all of this. It's the same dang thing that happens to us in business. Maybe it's your inbox, or maybe it's the content you planned but didn't create. Maybe it's the project that's been waiting on you for months. You know it needs tending, but because the list feels endless, you freeze. You scroll instead of starting. You plan instead of doing, and then the spiral gets bigger and louder. Here's what I had to remind myself. I don't have to fix the whole garden in one day, even though I so desperately want to. I don't even have to fix half of it. I just have to start with one spot. Maybe it's trimming back the plants that are closest to the edge of the garden, which actually is what I started last night, so that I can at least see a little bit of effort pay off. Maybe it's pulling the weeds in one bed instead of the whole freaking space. That's it. That really is it. The smallest step forward creates the shift. And the same is true in business. Send the one email, create the one post, organize the one folder. We get unstuck not by figuring it all out, but by moving on the tiniest thing we can actually control today. So if you're staring at your garden right now, and that I'm giving you quotes, your garden right now, whether that's your actual backyard, your 5,000 square foot garden like mine, your business, or your creative work, hear me when I say it doesn't all have to be solved today. You don't have to bring the whole thing back to life at once. Start where you are, pick one spot, do the next thing. Because clarity doesn't come from thinking harder. It comes from moving, even if it's small. And that's what I'm reminding myself as I pick up my gloves and step back into the dirt. It's not about perfection. It's about showing up and tending one small thing at a time. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. I truly appreciate you so much. And if you want to quit your email service provider like I quit MailChimp, check out Flowdesk. Get 14 days free to test out both options that they have. They have email only, and then they have email and checkout. 14 days free, you get to try out email and checkout, and then you get 50% off your first full year by going through my link, bossgirlcreative.com/Flowdesk. Okay, friend, until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your week.
And flow. Let's talk. Let's go.
And like my 3-year-old self said, that is all for this week. Friendly reminder to rate and review my show wherever you are listening. And last but not least, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me an audio message at bossgirlcreative.com/speak. I would love to hear your takeaways, ideas for upcoming episode topics, and your feedback. Thank you again for listening to this week's episode. And until next time, I hope you have a great rest of this one.